Hello, I am the Three-Eyed Hex, and this is a guided speed paint to my LDShadowLady fan art, which I promised a long time ago, but I got really busy, so here it is. It's super late. Also, before we start, if you want to own this artwork, or this, or even this in print form, I have soft launched a little shop at threeeyedhex.art where it has some of my artworks available. So if you want to hold this thing in your hands, maybe hang it up on your wall, just head on over to threeeyedhex.art and let me know what you think. So without further ado, let's go to the speed paint. So for this one, I start with a simple sketch. This artwork was meant to be a doodle, so I didn't really think too much about it. All I know is I wanted to draw Lizzie using her shadow/blindness powers, and I wanted the main focus of it to be her eye. I know that people interpret it as me adhering to the Watcher's lore, but it's more of a play on the fact that her powers revolve around blinding other users, technically speaking. So I just went with the flow. I didn't really think too much about it again. For these kinds of illustrations, I don't really care about being precise or clean. I just need everything to be in its proper place, so it's easy when I start rendering it. For this, I did not do a proper line art. I just cleaned up the sketch and I recolored the lines with a warm red color, just so it blends well with the skin tone and most of the other colors. When I color, I do two things. First is I have a base color beneath the sketch. In this case, it's a dark purple color. Second is I do the local colors, which is the true color of the subject in neutral lighting. I do the local colors in separate layers so I could shade them separately or adjust their hues and tones. And then I merge all the colors and turn down the opacity. What this does is it basically unites all the colors. You can do this with an overlay layer as well, but this is just my personal shortcut. It's easier. And then I add the other details. So I do the little shadow swirls, or at least like the beginning of it, which again calls back to her powers. And then I do the glowy detail in her eye and the lighting, which I guess is the main focus of the illustration. And before you know it, it's rendering time. So this is where I merge all the layers and clean it up and refine it. You will see at the beginning of this stage, I put a gray layer on top of everything. That is so I can check the contrast and the lighting of the piece, make sure everything is right. You can do this on Procreate by just doing like an all gray layer and setting the blending mode to color. That way you can check the contrast without being distracted by the colors, because I know I have trouble with that. My standard procedure for rendering is just to color pick from the piece itself and use it to clean up nearby messy areas. I think that's how you render. I'm not really sure. I just want to make sure that the piece looks cohesive and just a little bit cleaner. Nothing is too messy and all that. Speaking of messy, this stage is so messy in this specific piece because I did not have a plan going into this, and I finished this within like 1 or 2 days, which is fast for me. And I was just pretty lost the entire time, especially with the hair. You can see me draw over the hair because the details that were there on the first sketch were not giving. And then I changed the shading because it was too warm and it's all over the place. But it's fun. I have a love-hate relationship with hair. I love coloring hair and I just love drawing hair, but sometimes I completely forget how to render it or shade it. And I just get so carried away sometimes and I overdo it, especially in this piece because I drew Lizzie with very long, flowy hair and it's a mess. It took up most of the time. But yeah, my rule of thumb when it comes to hair is just to work in chunks and not in strands, because that's how you lose your sanity, basically. I got so tired with rendering the hair that I did not render the clothes with great detail, but that's okay because I don't care to draw attention to the clothing specifically, because for this piece I want you guys to look at her face, which is the brightest area. But ironically, I didn't have to do much to her face, mostly because it was covered by her hand and the sketch underneath it was pretty clean to start off with. So I had to learn this the hard way, that you don't have to render every single thing in your canvas perfectly. You know, just as long as it communicates effectively what it is, it's fine. You can just simplify it and leave it alone and save the details for the centerpieces. Actually, I think I'm not super impressed with her face because it looks a bit flat. I definitely could have done more, but then again, I'm not unhappy about it because it doesn't have to be realistic to be good. It just has to convey the emotions that you want your audience to experience. In this case, I want you guys to feel that Lizzie is stealing the light from your eyes and basically covering you in shadows as she enacts her devious plans, whatever those are. So this is the final finished piece. I'm really happy about how this turned out. So what do you guys think? Should I do more speed paints like this? Do you miss the live series? Because sometimes I do. Anyways, thank you for watching. And again, if you want to own a print of this artwork, the link is in the description. I'll see you soon. Bye.